What's up guys, welcome to JS Racing. My name is Jason, and as the title suggests, this video is all about the Bathurst 12 hours endurance race that had just finished over the weekend. Now the reason why I'm talking about this race is because my friend's team is actually in this race, and it is their debut race. So my friend's team is completely new. They've never competed in any race. This Bathurst 12 hours is their very first race. And as you see in the background, this is actually a picture of Bathurst, and that's actually me in another race being the safety car driver. But anyway, so let me give you a bit of background about my friend's team. My friend's team has a really strong driver lineup. The drivers are Eriksson, Bastien Buus, and also I think Jackson Evans. So these guys are really talented drivers. One of them is the Porsche Super Cup champion, and the other two are like DTM champions. So these guys are really, really good. And to support these guys and also the team, they have a very experienced and also very well decorated team, a guy called Timo. He is the owner of Team 75, and these guys have worked with Porsche. They have won many, many races, and this guy's also a driver himself when he was younger. So, I mean, this guy is very, very talented, and if you want to win in a Porsche, having this guy supporting your team is going to make it a lot easier. So as you can tell now that these guys are going to be using a Porsche to compete in this race. The Bathurst 12 hours is a very historic race. It happens every year in the beginning of the year at Bathurst, and the track is on Mount Panorama. If you have a simulator, I really encourage you to try out this track. It's probably one of the most challenging tracks, and in the mountain is all like winding and very narrow. A lot of blind corners. It's really, really fun, but it is also very prone to accidents. So every year in the race, there's always a bunch of yellow flags, red flags, safety cars, whatever. It's a really, really demanding race, and I really encourage you to watch it next year. It's a really fun race to watch. And because of how special this track is, there's always some really crazy racecraft that you can see on the track, like this one.
It's all to play for. Australia's International Enduro. Oh, where's he going to get through there? He's going to have a look into the elbow. He's had the look. He's made it stick. There's a Porsche lead. He does that. He'll drop back into the clutches. Here's the move. There was almost a Porsche which down the inside. There was no contact. And if there was, it was the lightest of light little touches. Here it is. Yeah, a little bit of a push, but there's nothing wrong with that. That's good, hard motor racing. Matt Campbell sails through, grabs the race lead, heads up driving.
So the guy you just saw doing that crazy overtake, his name is Matt Campbell. He is a Porsche factory driver, and he's also the winner of this year's Bathurst 12 hours. Well, he's not the only one. His team has 3 drivers, so his whole team won. But anyway, he did the last stint, and he's the one who went past the finish line. Anyway, so having mentioned that, I want to tell you a bit about the main players that will be competing with my friend's team, which is obviously Matt Campbell. He is with the Manthey EMA, so they're pretty much like the Porsche factory team. And then you also have WRT, which is another really decorated team. This time they're using a BMW GT3, and one of their drivers is Valentino Rossi. And I can tell you, Rossi is an extremely talented, absolute motorsport genius. Whatever you put him in, he's able to make him fast. It's crazy. So I really didn't expect him to be that good. You know, he's really, really good. He's like way up there with the factory drivers, and you know, he's not that young. You're talking about a guy who's have a bit of maturity already, competing with really young, talented drivers, and he's still able to be way up there and sometimes even beating them. So he's crazy. Anyway, so other than WRT, you also have like really decorated teams who's using AMG and Audi, all those guys. I don't know exactly the name of their team, but those guys are you know, a staple of basically every Bathurst 12 hours. They're always there, and they're always doing some crazy things. So anyway, so this race is like a culmination of all the best drivers. It's a bit like Formula 1, you know, all the best drivers in one race. So Bathurst 12 hours is very similar. Now, the main reason why I'm doing this video is not just to talk about this race, and it's not just because my friend was in that race, but it's because something that happened close to the end of the race, and I think it's a great point for discussion. Not contention, but discussion. But before I talk about that, I want to do a bit more of a setup and just give you a bit more background as to what had happened over the weekend. So this year's race, there were like 6 practices, 1 qualifying round, and 1 and one pole shootout, and then the main race. Now, the 6 practices, I think, is split into half and half, and then you have 2 main categories of cars. So one is like all the pros, and then the other ones are the rest of the guys, like the GT4, the Invitational, Pro-Ms, whatever. So you have 2 groups of people practicing. And for my friend's team, because you have 2 drivers who've never been at the track, so they were given more time to practice. But unfortunately for Bastien Buus, for some reason, the sessions that he was supposed to go on, there were like incidences and stuff like that. So he was able to only get on the track for, I think, 10 minutes or something. Very little track time to learn the track. But anyway, so come the qualifying round, Eriksson was chosen to qualify for the team. And again, it was very eventful, a lot of yellow flags and accidents and stuff like that. So at the end, he only got like 12 minutes or 14 minutes of qualifying time, which is very little, because to go around a track, 1 lap is 2 minutes. I think the quickest was like 2 minutes 03 or something like that. So he only essentially had like 5 to 6 laps, and you also have to count in 1 lap of tire warming. So there's not a lot of time for him to really get a good lap in. On top of that, in practice 6, I think he was the one in the car at that time, and somehow the car clipped something, a barrier or something, on one of the wheels, and I think that screwed up the balance, the setup of the car. So in the qualifying session, he was unable to get a really good lap time in, and he was quite off the pace, like 2 seconds off the pace. So at the end, the team qualified at, I think, P20, which is way too low to be able to join in for the pole shootout, because for the pole shootout, you have to be within top 15 to be able to participate. So these guys were out, so they spent most of the time just fixing the car, doing balancing, setup and stuff like that. But as I mentioned, the driver lineup for my friend's team, they are very, very talented, very professional, and very experienced drivers. I mean, these guys are all champions, okay, in their own category. So these guys are crazy. So it didn't take them long to get them back to the front. Once they got back to the front, for the majority of the race, they were right up there, you know, like P1 to P5, P6, you know, fluctuating, because a lot of things happen during the race. You got like accidents, yellow flag, red flag, safety car, you got, not red flag, but like yellow flag, full course yellow, safety cars, you got rain, you got tire changes, you know, all that happening, so that naturally would shuffle the positions quite a lot. But either way, they were way up top. Pretty much most of the time they were out in the front. So they were like P1, P2, P3, something like that for the majority of the race. Now here comes the moment which I want to talk about, which is right at the end of the race, and we're talking about the last 7 minutes. Now the last half an hour for any endurance race is the most crucial part of the race. So the last stint is done by Jackson Evans, and at the end of the race, the Manthey, they call it the Grello. It's a green and yellow Porsche, so they call it the Grello team or whatever. The Grello Porsche was leading, okay, by a huge margin, and then the second in line was an AMG, and then the third was a Phantom Global, the blue Porsche, and then you have WRT, the BMW, and then followed by the Audi. Okay, so these 5 guys have been maintaining their position for at least half an hour. Like they've been just in a train like that the whole way, all the way. But here's the moment that I want to talk about. I'll let you guys watch it first.
To know there's 1 lap to go, you're hearing all sorts of nonsense. You've got to just concentrate and keep it going, haven't you?
Oh, this is what you spend all day playing chess for, to go checkmate at the end of the day. So this is what it's all about. Jackson Evans, have a go at that move. There was not a door to walk through, but Jackson Evans pried it open.
Here comes the BMW, Maxime Martin on the outside. And what can Chris Haase do? This is for
Martin, look how deep he went.
It won't work, it won't pay off, but it might open the door for the Audi. He's got to wheel up the inside of Jackson Evans. They're going to war down towards turn 1. Gounon safe for a moment, and Chris Haase gets himself up, potentially to the podium. I did think that 22 Audi was still in with a shot. I think Gounon helped him out there, actually, because he slightly blocked Jackson Evans as he was coming into Murray's for the final time. The Porsche is running skinny. We know it's quicker in a straight line, but the Audi's got the preferred line into Visit New South Wales, Griffin Bend, and Chris Haase on the 3rd step of the podium for the number 22 Audi.
All right, I am locked on the timing screen for Chris.
Okay, so what you saw was AMG sort of made a mistake or something. The blue Porsche, which is Phantom Global, Jackson Evans, he saw an opportunity, so he took it, okay? Went on the inside line and trying to take P2, okay? So here's my question. If you were him, would you have done what he had done, okay? If you're a racing driver, would you have taken the lunge? If it was me, I would have done that. I think any racing driver would have done that. You would have taken the opportunity as soon as it presented itself. Okay, you want to fight for the highest position possible. It's only natural. I mean, any racing driver, they that's what they go compete in a race for, right? But on the other hand, knowing that you could have played it safe and gotten podium at least in third place, would that have been a better result? Because at the end of the race, he got P4. Okay, so he ended the race at P4, didn't get a podium, but it was still a tremendous result for the team because it's their debut race. It's their very first race that they are in. So P4 is exceptional result, I think. But anyway, going back, like knowing that the team is completely new, debut, would you have wanted to play it safe and then just get a P3, which would have been an even crazier result for a completely new team? Or would you have said, okay, look, I don't want to regret not having tried that move. If I got the P3 and I was on the podium, maybe I would have said to myself, what if I went for that lunge and I got P2? Would you have done that? So that's my question, because after having watched the whole race, seen all the efforts they've put in, I think P4 was an amazing result already. But my circle of friends is like all in motorsport, so everyone had their own opinion, and some people said, I could have kept the P3 and that would have been even better, blah blah blah. But I don't know. As a racing driver, I mean, if you have that mentality, you would know that whatever opportunity presents itself, you would go for it. So what would you have done? That is pretty much my main point. What would you have done if you were in his position and knowing the fact that this is a new team, debut team? What would you have done? Would you have taken a lunge, gotten that P2 but miss out on it and then you ended up getting P4, or secured a P3 and then just finished the race? What would you have done? So I'd really like to hear your take. Anyway, that's it for this video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.